Hi miss, sorry I wasn't here this morning. I was at cross country, so here's my makeup stuff. Okay. Yep, so I'm doing a creme brulee apple pie, and I'm just doing the preparation right now. So add 1 cup and 1/4 of all-purpose flour. Roughly 1 cup. And 1/4. Sugar you combine, which is 1½ tablespoons. One. And half. Maybe slightly over, but not gonna hurt. Then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Teaspoon. And baking powder, which is 1/8 of a teaspoon. Now that may seem like a small amount, but it works. There we are. All into a food processor. I don't have one, so I'm doing a hand blender. And pulse for a few times. This is just to make it all combined, so that's what it should look like on the inside. Give it a nice shake. Okay, now we're on to the pieces of butter. So let me get that out of the fridge real quick. How much does it call for? It calls for 7 tablespoons, which I'm pretty sure is roughly 100 grams. Let me check real quick. Yeah, so that is 100 grams exact. It should be here. Got with the wrap up, so it's easier to figure out the measurements. So cut this into small pieces, roughly around 1 centimeter in length. So they should look like that. There we are. By the way, I don't have a grip mat on hand, so I'm using a wet paper towel underneath. So along with the cubes of butter is vegetable shortening. So we've got cocoa here. Can't see that. There we are. And that is around 2 tablespoons. Which 2 tablespoons is roughly equal to 250 grams, which is around here. This one doesn't have measurement, so I'm eyeballing it. There we go. So comb into a fine piece like that. Then bring back over your hand mixer or food processor and place these in. Helps it get off easier if you use the back of a knife. Also saves the edges. And pulse a few times till you get chickpea-size or pea-size clumps in there. And check. Could go for a little longer. I can see some vegetable shortening in there. Check again. That's roughly it. It's got that nice fluffy texture to it. Okay, so now now onto the second page of the recipe. Now onto the water. So especially with a food processor, you gotta be careful that it doesn't smoke. And it says 3.5 tablespoons, which I'll just use this tablespoon. Wait. See if this helps. There we are. One, 2, 3, and a half. So, bring it back over here. Put the lid back on and pulse the final time till everything comes evenly moistened and combined. So if you can see from the bottom there, it's starting to create a dough along the blades of the food processor, or hand mixer in my case. That's roughly it. So everything's very crumbly, but it's got that nice moist texture to it. Then transfer it to a bowl. I'm going to use this one right here. Then just pour this straight in. Find shortbread or shortbread pastry very difficult to work with, especially with the clumps of it. I think this might be a little bit too dry. Let me add another tablespoon of water. Stay here. Yeah, that's a bit angle for it. Just combine everything so I can knead it later on. I'm going to grab the spoon and get this out. Okay, so that should stop it from sticking to the bowl. There we are. Fully formed dough. Okay. So then just give it a nice kneading. Pour a little bit of flour onto the workbench. So okay, so that should roughly be the size of your dough. It's not too big, but should roughly fit into 2 ramekins. Then what you want to do is split the dough into 2 balls. So roll them out onto the workbench. Make sure that it has little cracks in it. Luckily this will freeze or chill in the fridge for later. And there's your dough ball, or one at least. They don't need to be perfectly even because you're going to be doing them at the same time, but just make sure that they're roughly the same. Then grab your plastic wrap. Yeah, so here. Don't need too much. And then just fold them into each other. And that is one. Let me just do the other real quick. make sure you get all surfaces of the dough ball. There we are. 2 dough balls, and they will go straight into the refrigerator. So, see you in 45 minutes. Two balls. Okay, so now that we've got the 2 dough balls here, take the dough balls out of the refrigerator and dust your work surface. So let me bring you back down. There we are. Okay. Wash everything, so there should be nothing wrong here. So lightly dust your work surface. That might be a little bit too much flour, but hey, it's not that bad. It's way too much flour. Okay, well, dough, and now it's time to knead. So, don't over knead it, but make sure that it's still workable. Because we kneaded it before, it doesn't need that much time for kneading. Like, I think now is basically perfect. Okay. That's 1. That goes there. Then we're onto here. So, put some more flour. I'm working. And then turn to knead. Okay, so could go for a little longer. That's probably good because now it's more of a, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, let me wash this off. There we are. Give it a nice dry. And perfect. So now, get one into a bowl. Sorry, just grabbing a rolling pin. Might be in here. Rolling pin. Oh, there it is. Wasn't the first drawer. Okay. So, put this here and roll. So, go turn it. Take a little bit of flour and a nice rubbing. Flip it over. Give it another dusting. Give it dusting again. So we're looking for a very thin piece of pastry, enough to hold everything together, but not too big so that it expands in the ramekin. Speaking of ramekin, here's one. that I prepared earlier. It's okay if it cracks when putting or trying to put it in. There it is. Just as long as you get it in there with enough space, you'll be perfectly fine. So you can take a little bit off the top and then place it into, that's what it looks like so far. Okay, so I'm trying to place it here. So now we've got could take a little bit more. I think this is a nice size for a dough, so I'm going to say it's at least 1 centimeter in thickness. It's a very thin dough we've got here. Okay, so now grab your knife and just trim off the edges. Spin it while you do so. Actually, that might be a bit too thick, as you can see there. So you just push it up with your fingers till you get your desired consistency. Put a little bit more around the bottom. Try to make this interesting, but it's not much you can do. So I think that's a good thickness all around. So as you can see there, I know it may look like there's a hole at the bottom, but now that's just the dough. Take off the top, and then there we are. And push it back, and this is what we're going for. Now you've got extras. That's very good. Make a little sausage. There you are. You want to roll this sausage out. Should have floured it. Okay, so according to the measurements, it should be roughly the same size as your ramekin. Yep, it's not bad. Then you want to cut a strip of this. Actually, I might roll this out a little thinner. Again, should have floured. So we got this, and then cut a little strip, say 1 centimeter in length. There you are. Cut the ends off, and you want to make 4 of these. So if you don't know what I'm doing now, just I have that flour on hand. So you might go a little thinner on that. So this is for almost the lacing. So you know when you have an apple pie from grandma, how there's always a almost like a weave on top of the apple pie? That's what I'm trying to go for here. luckily, once you've cut one strip, you can get roughly the same shape. Okay, there, and then this goes here, and then this one goes over the top. So it should look like that. I don't know if I'm going to have enough for this, so I'm going to try. Lucky. This one is where I should have brought flour. Stretch it out if you need to. And this one goes over. And this goes under. So, that's what it should look like. It's not the best one I've done, but make sure they're molded into each other so that once it cooks, it doesn't separate. And measure it up. Pretty good, yep. Remember, this doesn't need to be perfect because it'll all expand in the oven once it cooks. You can add even a little extra that you have to the endings. There we are. So, now that that's done, those will go in the fridge for half an hour, and I'll come back to you when both those are done. So, I've still got this one to do, so see you soon. Okay, so both of these are ready. You don't need the weave, luckily. So, we got that. Preheated the oven to 200 degrees Celsius. And now onto the beads. So, these beads are used to weight down the dough in a blind bake. So, I've already got here. Okay. So, get 2 sheets of baking paper, roughly, actually it might be a bit too large. Yep, roughly there. Oh, slightly large. So, what you want to do is cut off a little bit. So, let me pull you down real quick. There we are. And then this just goes in there. Grab some ceramic bowls. So, there. Just pour them in here. So, leave about half of the other. And grab your scissors. Cut off the top bit. So it should look like, oh, let me cut a little bit more off. Should look like that. So let me do the other one real quick. So you want to save on as much waste as possible. That's probably roughly around the right size. And just pop it in here. Grab your beads or the marbles, whatever you use. You can use baked beans if you want, but get these two. Then cut around. So this will go in the oven for 15 minutes. The reason I'm guessing is that my oven's slightly broken. Like, the dial isn't correct, so if you don't have a correct working dial, wait till it goes slightly crispy around the edges, and then take them out. Oh, even better. So, got both? Grab this. Okay, that should be better. Grab both these, and then just slot them in. They don't need to be exact. I would recommend actually putting them on the second rack if you have a second rack. Roughly semi-spaced out, and then just pop it in. So those will stay in there for about 15 minutes, as I said earlier. And yeah, I'll come back to you once I am done. Okay, so now that the crusts are done in the oven, let me pull you down real quick. Oh, that's for later. So now that they're done, yeah, gotta take them out. Towels always helpful. Okay, pull these out. So you want to dip them in water slightly, which is what that was for, so that they don't burn wherever they're touching. And the thing I especially don't want to burn is my hands. Dip them in a bit, dry them off, and okay, so these ramekins are now good to go for the beads to be taken out. Gotta be very careful with this, because the beads or beans you have are extremely hot. So you just want to dump them all into this water bath. And don't burn yourself like I just did. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Pull them over and gump. Okay. So now, all the beads are in here, and they should be automatically cooled off. And also close the oven so it doesn't. So it keeps the heat in. Then grab a paper towel, which I have here, and you want to put the paper towel inside these. This is to get any excess butter off that may have been caused from cooking, as you can see. Oh, you can't really see, but there is a ton of butter at the base of this, so trust me on that. And on the other. Okay. So you might be able to see now. See how there's like a tint of yellow there? That's all from the butter. These aren't ready yet, so these will go back in for another 15 and should be perfectly done. So I'll see you back in 15 minutes. Same temperature in there. Ready? See you. Let me check on this real quick. Yep, those are starting to look good. They've got a nice browning on them. I could do the dip method of the ramekins because now I'm not dealing with any plastics. So let me put this on. As you can see here, got a little bit of bubble on the inside. This can be easily deflated using like a teaspoon or something, which is what I'm going to do. Let me scoot you down a little bit more. Close this up again. Okay. Push this along. Don't know if you can see that far down. There we are. So you just push the edges till you basically deflate it. You gotta make sure that you don't pop the bottom, otherwise the filling from the pie will seep through. Yeah. You can even do it with your fingers if you like. So you gotta do this for both sides. And that is your pie crust. So you want to put this, I like to put it on some parchment so it doesn't burn through the bottom of my fridge. So we got some here. Rip a piece off. And then cut this in two. Fold it in half. Then place the ramekin on top. There we are. So we just gotta put this back in the fridge to cool down while we make the filling. Luckily the filling doesn't take as long as the pie crust, because you don't need to prove it and everything. But I'll be back after I put these away. I'll even do two at a time. Okay, so that's cooling off in there. Let's get started on the filling, which you'll need to start up here for, or even move you across. Okay, so this is the pan I'll be working off. It's already preheated, so that makes it better. Okay, so the amount of butter I need, I haven't done yet, so that's 25 grams. Okay, I'll be take a butter. It just goes in there. Grab any spoon. I would recommend a wooden one. If you don't have that, just with the rail. You want to make sure that just gets everything in the pan. So the main way to make, oh, you can't even see. Let's try that. There we are, that's better. So make sure you stir flour. And the flour is to basically just thicken everything up. So 1 tablespoon. You also want to make sure that it's nice burn to it. So that's 1 tablespoon. Give it a nice whisk so it doesn't get burnt to the bottom of the pan. And okay, there we are. Try and get as much as I can off this. So trade to an actual whisk. I know it doesn't look like much butter, but it's enough for 2 ramekins. Okay, so then once we have the 2, water, sugar, and bring to a boil. The amount of water I need is luckily not that much, just another 1 tablespoon. As you can see there, I'll turn down the heat. I'll bring over sugar. And sugar is just 1/4 cup, which is over here. So we gotta get this quickly so it doesn't burn. There we are. Then whisk this through the butter, water, and flour mixture so it becomes like that. Okay. And back on the heat. I'm using a induction, electric stove, so it may cook different depending on what you use. This is a little less, so I will add a little water to it. So you basically want to make this into a paste. You don't want it to burn, but you also don't want it to be too uncooked. Or don't want it to be uncooked. You can add water as much as it needs till it basically thickens. Which for me is roughly around here. Or you can add a little bit more water, just in case. Because this will evaporate when it's off the heat. Okay, so that's what it should look like. So that's that nice honeycomb consistency. Then you want to put this to the side and get to work on the creme brulee filling. So for this, all you need is 1 half cup of heavy cream. We've got Hadley here. Cup. Okay. So there's the heavy cream. Until it becomes warm, which, as you can see, is already quite. Custard, heavy cream, 1 tablespoon of sugar, which is in there. Give that a nice whisk. So turn down the heat again. And a 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla extract. is roughly that. A nice whisk. Make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. And a touch of salt. So you can do this to your taste, but I'm gonna say that's roughly enough because you gotta offset the sweetness of something. Whisk pretty vigorously. So that's what it should look like. And once you got that, you gotta take it off the heat. So mine's going over there. And now let me move you back because now we're on to the preparation of the sauce. I'll add a little bit more water to this mixture. You need this. Add a little lump of butter just for the sauce again, because the applesauce, sorry, because it's starting to get a little bit unthickened. Only a small knob, but that should be enough to thicken everything up again. Okay, that's it. Take it off the heat until we keep whisking. Now, grab your apples. I've already pre-cut these. I did this when the crusts were cooling. So I'm gonna grab the apples real quick. And then you want to pour this mixture onto the apples. So these just go on top like that. As you can see, it's best if you grab a spoon and start just dumping it in here. Okay, so you got roughly there. There. Also gotta be careful with the creme brulee thing because you don't want the milk to curdle on the pan. I'm gonna leave that there. The other thing, or the final thing you need for everything else is cinnamon for the apples. Cinnamon is only half a teaspoon. Don't want to go tablespoon. Yep. So that's what they look like, and then just give them a mix in between. So you want to make sure these are absolutely coated. So there we are. Now onto the egg part of the creme brulee. Where you get a bowl. Let me scoot you back down. You get a bowl and a singular egg. So you gotta separate the egg into its egg white and egg yolk, which is what I'm doing now. So I recommend saving the egg whites for later if you're doing like a meringue or something. And I think that's pretty separated. So just gotta save them here. Okay. Also, with the creme brulee, you want to make sure the bowl is completely dry. So that's pretty good. You want to tip the yolk into there. Grab your whisk from over here. Whisk, as you can see, can't really see. The yolk's already popped. The next thing you need is sugar, which is just a teaspoon, a tablespoon sugar, which is here. So, tablespoon goes in, and you want to whisk this so it becomes a consistency like this. You don't want to whisk the eggs too early, like before you start making the custard, otherwise the eggs will attach to the sugar. So, you want to grab this, and then you want to slowly pour roughly a third of the hot mixture into the eggs. Whisk that. And then add another third, which is roughly that. And finally, you want to add the final bits of the creme brulee. You can use a spoon to get the rest out, which is what I'm going to do. Don't want to waste anything. And you also want to grab your vanilla, grab your teaspoon again, and you want to add another half a teaspoon, which is roughly that. Which now should look like this. If you can see there. Now, grab your apple mixture and your creme brulee mixture, and you want to pour them into each other. So that's one there. I actually might make a second batch of this, so I'll come back to you once that's done. So the creme brulee thing is done. I had to make a little bit extra because I underestimated what I would need. And then we got our ramekins. So what I'm setting up now is a hot water bath for the creme brulee, so it sets better in a better environment. So pour the creme brulee into, along with some apple chunks. Not too many, but enough. Make sure you have enough for the next part, which is the next ramekin. If you're just looking for the creme brulee part, you can use a sieve, which is what I've got here. Yeah. So push it all in, and then I'm up to the sieve part. Sieve, yeah. So this is just This also helps with clumps if you have any. So you put that in, that's good. And then the rest goes in here. Make sure you push the creme brulee filling through the sleeve. And give it a nice shake. Okay. So both of those are looking pretty good. I might even add a little more scoops of apple to this one. And let's see if I can keep it through. I did. And give that a nice shake. So everything's ready to go. We got the creme brulee filling here. We got both the apples and everything else, the hot water bath. All we need to do now is place this into the oven, which is set at 180 or roughly thereabout, until we can see the inside is roughly wobbly. But yeah, see you when that is done. I'll be back. So we're now onto the cooking stage, which is where I would have been if I was there at Food Tech. So again, just for a little bit, that's it. Almost forgot to put these in. These are to go on top of the creme brulees. They don't need as much time as creme brulees, however, it's still important to put them in. So I'm going to put these in the top row. So, just a little bit left. Okay, so it's been about around half an hour right now. So I'm going to take this out of the oven. 1, 2, 3, let that cool off, and straight onto there. 1, 2, 3, let that cool. So got this. Oh, you can't see. There we are. That's better. Turn the oven off. And let the water inside cool. Okay. So while baking these snapped, so it's unfortunate, but I'll try and stick these as close as I can together. Still very hot, so gotta be careful about that. There we are. So we got that. Then we go. We put these. So we're supposed to put these in the fridge. However, because of the time limit, we don't really have enough time for that. So we get 1 teaspoon of sugar. And we place this all around. Then 2 teaspoons of sugar. Then give it a nice shake because to get the sugar all around. that's good. So now onto the best part. Flamethrower time. So, yeah. So what you want to do for a flamethrower is sweep. You don't want to concentrate on one area, otherwise you'll burn the sugar. I also find it best if you turn the ramekin with your burning. Lower the heat on that. This is just to get the outside layers back. A touch more caramel. There we are, and then just let caramelize, and there's one. Now onto the other. So, one, and it's 2 teaspoons. As I said before, give it a nice sprinkle between each other. So we do this, that there, that there. I'd even say grab a pinch more, sprinkle it all along here, and blowtorch time again. Yeah, amp up the heat for it. Down the heat. Okay. And that is my creme brulee apple pie. You can also put this on top. This on top. As I said, it shattered in the oven, so not much I could do there, but it's supposed to look roughly like that. Then give it a hit and cracks with apple pie all the way through. That is it. Thank you, and yeah, hope you like.